A World Rewritten. Alexander's What Ifs. Book 3. By Santiago Machain. Chapter 1. The Emperor's Last War. It began, as wars often do, not with the clash of swords or the thunder of cannons, but with whispers. In the crumbling corridors of an empire that had outlived its prime, silence spoke volumes. The emperor, once feared, once adored, was now an old man in a fortress of decaying marble. His name had once stirred hearts and commanded obedience across continents, but now even his most loyal advisors struggled to suppress doubt behind their loyal smiles. The war that would come to define his legacy, his last war, did not start with a declaration. It emerged from a tension between pride and progress, from the widening rift between a traditional empire and a world rapidly shedding its old skin. It was the product of a dying imperial structure trying to reassert itself in an era that no longer had space for emperors. Yet, this particular emperor would not go quietly. He was called Septimus IV, though his birth name was Alaric Drenos. Born in the shadow of a reformist rebellion his father had brutally suppressed, he had grown up with a sense of historical burden. Educated by the finest minds of his time and raised in a palace where every curtain, scroll, and gesture carried the weight of centuries, he believed in the empire, not just as a political entity, but as a divine instrument of order. To him, its decline was not inevitable. It was a challenge to be faced with strategy, might, and resolve. When the Federation of Southern Nations broke from the imperial trade agreement and closed its ports to northern merchants, it was more than a political insult. It was a symbolic act of rebellion. The emperor saw it not as the action of sovereign states asserting independence, but as sedition, a crack in the world order he was sworn to protect. To outsiders, it seemed like a dispute over tariffs and transportation routes. But to those in the emperor's war chamber, it was the final test of imperial dominance. For years, smaller nations had quietly drifted from the empire's gravitational pull. The Southern Federation was the first to do so openly and with defiance. If they were allowed to succeed, the rest would follow. The emperor's advisors urged caution. Some suggested negotiations, economic leverage, or covert destabilization. But Septimus saw inaction as weakness, and weakness as the prelude to ruin. He ordered a blockade. Imperial fleets,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?